I don't think so. It seems
Okay.
to be, from what I'm gathering myself, more of a volume thing
Right.
after a certain amount of time.
Okay.
So whether it's running mechanics or some
Right.
weaknesses that I may have,
Okay. More of an endurance issue than a acute intensity issue.
I believe so.
Okay. You said it's happened in both legs. Which is the leg that's bothering you currently?
This right one.
Okay. Has it been pretty symmetrical in the past, or is it almost always like worse in the right, would you say?
Honestly, it seems like it's been more on the left in the past.
Okay.
So something has shifted over time, and I may have been doing so much work on this side. This side may have gotten neglected. So, but I've only recently experienced it on that side.
What was unique about this race that you think might have brought it on the right leg?
Over 32 miles.
Yeah.
It was a long, long race. We also
Long.
had some uneven footing,
Okay.
and I think that may have
Okay.
contributed somewhat as well.
Gotcha. Tell me about footwear. What's your go-to like race day shoe?
So I use the Hoka Speed Goat 5s.
Okay.
Those are a very specific trail running shoe.
Okay.
I do have an insert in them. I think they're a 3 or 5 millimeter lift.
Okay.
They're not flat.
Okay.
I definitely have some lift in them.
Okay. Have you ever noticed that the footwear you choose changes the way you feel this?
Not necessarily. I've been running in these Hokas for a long time.
Okay.
Few years now, obviously changing the shoe out, but
Right.
I stuck with the same shoe.
Okay. What was the mileage on that shoe when you like on race day?
Less than 300.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a fairly new shoe.
Yeah, she's about halfway
Okay.
through their life.
Right. Okay. You mentioned other issues. So the IT band has crept up before. Have you had any like related pains or even unrelated pains with these longer distance runs?
Not specific to that. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I've had issues in my back.
Right. Lower back.
Lower back.
Okay.
Yeah, just from the pounding over hours and hours and hours.
Okay. So what makes you think this is IT band and not the knee itself, just in your opinion?
In my opinion, because once I would get that dull to moving into a sharp pain, as soon as I would stop and start walking, that went away.
Okay.
I would be able to bend it, I'd move it,
Gotcha.
manipulate it in multiple different positions, and I wasn't getting any feeling or discomfort.
So you couldn't reproduce the pain any way other than running, essentially?
No,
Okay.
no,
Well, since the race, have you been feeling it at all?
not at all.
Okay.
It was a little bit sore
Right.
for 24 hours after,
Okay.
but so was everything for the most part. But eventually it just went away.
Okay.
It went away.
What's your next event?
I'm doing runs almost every other weekend for 5Ks, 10Ks here and there, which things are fine at those shorter distances.
Okay.
Nothing real big until February of next year. I'll be doing a Spartan Super and a Spartan Sprint. So doing a 10K and then one day and then a 5K the next day with, 30, 40 obstacles.
Right. Okay. And that is a distance that would be enough to bother it if we let it, right?
Potentially.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other like injury history that you feel like I should know about that's relevant in your opinion?
I don't believe so. I've had lower back issues, L4, L5, just in the past, diagnosed.
Right.
I'm just getting older. 54 years old now. Things start moving. That's a big reason why I want to get this thing taken care of.
We got to keep you going. Let's hop up here and look at it. So first things first, before you sit on the table, would you stand for me and let me see a couple air squats, just body weight air squats. Does that cause any pain for you?
No.
And let's go split squat with the left in front for me. Good. And then go right. Okay. Any pain with those?
No.
Okay. Let's go to like a true single leg squat, standing on the outside foot. Okay. Do like 3 or 4 for me. That created any of that pain?
No.
Okay. Do you notice any difference between sides for any reason? Strength, stability, balance?
Yeah, it feels less balanced on this side.
Okay. Control is not as good?
No, this side feels real strong. Like I can do it almost without the chair.
Okay.
Whereas this side.
Feel like you want some upper body support?
Yeah.
Okay. Now have a seat on the table real quick. I want to look at your hip mobility. This is the good side, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And then IT band here doesn't currently bother you, correct?
No.
Okay. When you feel it, it's almost exclusively at the knee, or do you ever feel it up at the hip?
Only in the knee.
Okay. So if I compress the IT band and we go through like a range of motion here. You don't feel anything on this side, right?
A little bit.
Okay.
Not much.
Okay. All right, let's look at the right one then. Feel anything so far?
No.
Okay. Definitely have a little better internal rotation than you do external, but that's on both sides. All right. Now, is it currently sore to the touch, would you say?
No.
Down here below the knee?
No.
Good. Okay. Let me put a little compression on. We'll go through a range of motion here. Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. Any knee injuries in the past?
Not on this side. This side, yeah.
Okay. Good. No issues there?
No.
What are you feeling, man?
A little bit in the hip.
The hip? Like a pinching compression type thing?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't feel that on the left?
No.
Okay. Okay. Let me explore that just a little bit.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. Okay. That doesn't hurt?
No.
Straight legs out straight here. Look at your ankle. So just relax both legs for me. Look at your wall. Okay. Would you say you're kind of more of a bow-legged?
Oh yeah.
Built human? Yeah.
You can fit a fist between my knees almost.
Okay. And then you just kind of like to deviate there. Go on your side facing this way for me. What do you feel there?
Just stretching along the myelic oblique.
Okay. Anything there?
No.
Okay. Roll over on your stomach for me real quick. Quads are a little bit tight.
Yeah, you think? This left one was taking on the brunt of my right leg that I couldn't totally use.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to rule out some other knee injuries just to make sure we're not dealing with something like disguising itself as IT band pain.
Sure.
Anything there?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Roll back on your side. Let's check the glute strength, glute med strength. All right. Left side. So basically, I'm going to support here. Okay. Your leg's going to be in the air, straight, toe turn slightly down.
Sure.
I'm going to try to push you down. You don't let me. We're going to do 3 trials on each side. Okay. So I'm going to reset. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Hold. Good. Relax. We're going to go 2 more. Ready? Go. Okay. 1 more. Go. Okay. Doesn't cause any pain, does it?
No.
All right. Let's go to the other side. Good. Relax. Go ahead and go again. Okay. 1 more time. Okay. So this is interesting. You're actually 21% stronger on the right leg. So it may actually be a left glute weakness that's causing you to overload the right. So hop up for a second. I'll show you. If every step you take on the left, you're dropping here, right? Then on the right, you got to like kind of propel and do a lot of your lifting there, right? So any of that leg clearance you have to do excessively on the right. And then you land and then you do it all over again, right? So you may just be landing and getting here a lot and a lot of friction there. Only other thing I noticed is that your internal rotation is pretty limited, and that's what we talked about you being bow-legged.
Yeah.
Right? You're just kind of like here.
Yeah.
Which may predispose you to a little bit of friction on the outside. It doesn't mean you're like doomed to have IT band syndrome every time you run, because those things can be improved.
Yeah.
Like hip internal rotation can be improved, and again, that's a big enough difference between size and glute strength that we can address that.
Good deal.
With some single leg frontal plane control type stuff. So
well, let's do it.
Let's go out there.
Figure this out.
Let's do it.
I recently ran a 50K Spartan race with 60 obstacles. It took me around 11 hours. Around mile 17 or 18, my IT band started to act up, which really manifested itself as my knee really hurting. So I limped my way through the rest of the race, and I've decided at this point, I really need to get this looked at. So today, I'm gonna meet with our director of physical therapy here at Pursuit. We're gonna go through exactly what's going on. We're gonna try and figure this thing out. We're gonna do a few exercises that are gonna really put things into perspective and hopefully get me so I can run these longer distances without this IT band messing up. I'm here with our director of physical therapy, Micah, and I got a few questions for Micah. Micah, what are some things that I can do here in the gym, or even some things at home possibly, that'll help me take care of this IT band?
So IT band syndrome is kind of a common issue in runners, and a lot of it has to do with the way they train outside their runs, right? So there's some things you can do during a run. You can change footwear. We can sometimes change your cadence or your stride length. But what I like to look at is like, what does their training outside the gym or outside the run look like? We call that cross training. More often than not, I find that runners either lack single leg training in general, or they lack rotational or transverse plane training, as well as like frontal plane training. So they're really focused on the sagittal plane, and they don't often get out of that plane, rotate, and move in other directions. And so I find that a lot of runners lack that, would benefit from that. Assessing Jeff, we found that he's lacks some rotation on the hip and lacks some strength on one side of his hip abductors, his glutes. And so I think addressing those things, as well as just kind of diversifying his training, should be a factor that really helps you.
Cool. Can we get into some of these today and do some of these exercises, some of these movements?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get after it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna grab some dumbbells here and take him through a curtsy lunge. A curtsy lunge, essentially, he's probably got lunging in his life. He does probably plenty of single leg work. But what I'm guessing he lacks is that rotational component where he's forced to internally rotate on that stance leg, so that's what we're gonna go after. Is on that stance leg, I want that knee and toe to stay pointed forward. I don't want you to open up, okay? I want you to keep your chest forward, get around that, and try to get that knee down to the ground. A back knee. There you go. So you can kind of see you struggle to keep square here, so get into that, and then rotate back this way. Rotate into that hip, that knee across. So rotating around this hip here is gonna be your biggest thing that you gotta work on. There we go. Do you feel pain with that?
No.
Good. So he's feeling the pain on the right side, and you can see it's that side that he struggles to kind of get his pelvis rotated around and internally rotate on his femur. He likes to say externally rotated. We know that from that bow-legged stance and stride length that he has. So I think an improvement in internal rotation and an improvement in ability to internally rotate on a planted leg is gonna go a long ways for him, reducing that friction or pressure on the IT band when he runs. All right, so the other single leg move I want to do is a hinge. So that last one was more of a squat pattern.
Yeah.
So I want to go single leg RDL, but what I want you to focus on here is we're actually going to load on the leg that's going back, because what that's going to do is now the weight is distributed farther from this working hip. So you're going to be really challenged to keep your pelvis level here and not open up. So again, it's that planted side leg that we're working on keeping level and staying square. So shoulders, hips, knees, toes, everything point straight at the ground. Up, okay? If we absolutely have to have a handhold here, we can. So big leg kick on the right leg. Back, yep. Good. Bigger leg kick. There you go. There we go, good. Now keep that standing knee stiffer and you got it. So your hip stays high. There we go, bigger leg kick. Got it, good. So I want him keeping this pelvis level, but then the glute on this side is acting like a guide wire. So as the right leg leaves the ground, this right pelvis wants to drop, especially with the weight in that hand. So the glute on this side is having to kind of keep him square, which is a lot of the issue over thousands and thousands of steps, especially on uneven ground on the type of race you run.
Right.
Try the other side. Let me see you stand on that right. Good. A little bit stiffer knee, and then a little bit bigger kick. There we go. There we go. Good. That was a good one. Big leg kick. High hip. Yep. Good. So this is technically a hip hinge. Any RDL is a hip hinge, and good hip hinging once again requires that good internal rotation of the hip for me to truly sit back into that. If I had to guess, I'd say Jeff's a little bit better squatter than a hinger just based on the way his hip mobility sets up. It also makes hinging a very important movement pattern for him.
It feels like it needs to be worked. It feels weak, like especially when I did my right side. There's that glute unstable because that side's 21% less.
Right. Yeah, 21% stronger on the right glute. Asymmetries are not all that unusual, and it's not even a sign that something's wrong. But you start getting a bigger asymmetry, it starts making me wonder about why is he getting an asymmetrical loading pattern or wear pattern during an endurance sport like running, especially those long distances, because you know, a few steps don't bother you, but a lot of steps, 13 miles in, now all of a sudden you've accumulated some volume that can piss it off. So
what's great is this all makes sense now that we've evaluated things on why things would work like that. But we always think we want to look at what area is hurting us the most and focus on that, where in my case, it's actually the opposite leg and some weakness that the other leg is making up for, and therefore prevent, you know.
That's the plug, is that evaluation is key, right? Like I can give you 5 generic things for like what helps an IT band sufferer, and hopefully this helps anybody watching this video, but honestly, an evaluation by somebody that knows what they're doing is key, because I can customize this to Jeff's specific needs.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known any of this. I would have just kept working on what I was doing my own research and saying, yep, I need to work on my glutes or my hips, but without having, you know, someone like Micah who knows what they're talking about evaluate things, it's all for naught. You just don't know if you're making any progress.
Okay, so bird dog row, again, I know a runner is going to be confused as to why we're training upper body, but honestly, like you said, the kinetic chain matters. But the other thing is we can incorporate lower body stability in upper body training and make it relevant. Honestly, in a bird dog row, we're working on the exact same concept we just talked about, which is that level pelvis. And the glute we care about here is the planted one on the bench, okay? So you can see that weight, when I lose the battle against gravity, that leg rotates and my pelvis rises on the leg that's back, right? So if I stay in control here, I can keep my toe pointed at the ground, and you can set like that imaginary cup of water on my lower back and it should stay stable. Rowing on the same side you're kneeling on. Yep, this leg is up. So level it out here, good. And so this toe pointing at the ground the whole time is what we care about. So for most people, this feels like a balance exercise or even a core exercise. And I'm okay with all of that, as long as we're also working on stability in this glute, not letting that other side rotate. So you can almost think of this as anti-rotation at the hip. Okay, go ahead and switch sides. There you go, good. That's that stability we're talking about. There you go. Okay, pause a second, level out here. Big leg kick. There you go. So this is the left side. This is the side he doesn't have pain on, but this is the side that glute is weaker on. So I think that's what we're seeing here. There we go. Ooh.
That's hard.
It's frustrating.
But that puts proof in exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. It's one thing to see it on the testing, it's another thing to see it in action.
Yeah, and that is it right there. I mean, frustrating, but at the same time, I know what I need to work on.
Exactly.
I know what I need to work on. I could feel it a little unstable on the other side, but then when I got to this side, I was wobbling all over the place.
We're gonna move to like a side plank. That lateral plane, that frontal plane that runners a lot of times lack. There's this myth of training in a way that's always functional, meaning it always looks exactly like your sport. But a lot of times then that just means you're only working into the same patterns you always work in, and you never strengthen any weaknesses that might develop. So runners love split stances, split squats, lunges, step ups, right? And that's all the right idea. And I'm not wanting to take that out of anybody's program, but a side plank doesn't necessarily look like running, yet it's going to be that good weight bearing stability on the downside glute that Jeff might lack. Jeff, what I'm gonna have you do, we're gonna add a band here in a second, raises, and then we're gonna separate this knee. So what I want you to really think about is this bottom knee pushing the ground away. And then you're gonna totally lengthen out your body and come up into a straight line here. Good, yep, come a little straighter at the top, but you got it. So hips will go forward, and lock out, there you go. There it is. Again, training in the frontal plane, He starts off a little bit flexed with the hip, which again, if we want to talk about functional, running is a series of hip flexion and hip extension. And so he is getting some of that, but the load is totally different than anything gravity is going to do when you're standing or weight bearing. Push your hips forward a little bit more at the top and lengthen out. Good. There it is. There it is. And then back down. Good. So the load's in the frontal plane here, but really this is we call it like a triplanar movement because he's getting a little bit of hip flexion extension, which would be kind of sagittal plane, but he's also getting a little bit of rotation, just as you can see him kind of open up. As this knee opens, this one also has to open. So hip being a ball and socket joint, it moves in 3 dimensions. Do you notice a difference?
Oh yeah, big time. It felt a lot easier on this side than on my other side with that glute.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely noticed it.
Okay, so thus far, everything we've done has been done with a little bit more of a flexed hip. So this is the one thing that I want to do that's a little bit more of an extended hip. Of anything we've done, this could be the one to cause a little irritation. I'm not too concerned about that just because of how much volume it takes to cause you to get irritated. So this is not going to be nearly that volume, but this is going to kind of like go after it a little bit. And think about this as like building more robust tissues there, like building the tolerance a little bit. This is called a Poliquin step up. I've got my heel elevated and my hips are fully extended. So I'm not going to drop my butt back and hinge. I want the chest to stay tall, and I'm actually kind of reaching my other heel out in front of me. Really good quad rehab for certain issues. In this case, we're just trying to like introduce some of that friction in a controlled way. Chest tall, hips forward. Only joint bending here should be the right knee, basically. Yep. Does that bother that lateral knee at all?
No.
Good. So higher volume here, I'd say you're talking about 15 reps, 20 reps, something like that. You can progress it one of 2 ways. Either we put this slant elevated on blocks, and so you have a little bit more range of motion, you can go a little deeper, or we add load, right? You can grab 2 dumbbells or even a single dumbbell. In retrospect, we probably could have tested his quad strength just to like know what to expect here. I didn't initially see the quad as much of a problem, but that would have been good information to have. How do you feel?
Good. Well, there you go. There's 5 tools, 5 exercises to all help with IT band. I would highly recommend seeing a PT and getting evaluated first. A bunch of the stuff I wasn't aware of. I had no idea I had imbalances in my glutes. I had an idea that something was wrong there, but now I know for sure and can actually do these 5 exercises.
Yeah, so if you're experiencing IT band pain, you're a runner, again, try some of these things. If they address the issue, great. It's a very common issue with runners. If you're trying some of these things and they're just not solving the problem, that's where, like Jeff said, getting evaluated by a physical therapist, some sort of running expert, even a running coach, somebody that can kind of analyze your mechanics, your footwear, something like that, you might be able to get a little bit more in depth. So if you're experiencing any of these issues or you've tried some of this stuff, it's still not helping, reach out to myself, reach out to Jeff, who's kind of our running endurance coach. Hit us up, we're here to help.
If you have any questions, comments, anything, ask them down below in the comment section. We're certainly here to help. I hope you enjoyed the video.